A pregnant nurse discovers a chilling reality after DNA test. Hello, everyone. Enjoy these tranquil moments while you watch Clara, who sits in a daze on the old wooden chair in the examination room, gripping her ultrasound results as if she believes that releasing them will cause everything to vanish. Miss Clara, I must ask again, are you truly unaware that you're pregnant? Dr. Morales' voice, a man in his 50s, echoed with skepticism. Clara nodded, stammering. I've never had sex. I live alone. It's impossible. Dr. Morales raised an eyebrow and adjusted his glasses. You're 10 weeks pregnant. Not 2, not 3. 10 weeks, Clara. You're a nurse. You know what that means. Clara's heart felt like it might leap out of her chest. I'm not lying. I genuinely don't understand what's happening. Suddenly, the door swung open, and a woman with her hair neatly tied stepped in, holding a stack of folders. It was Tessa, another nurse in the department. Clara, are you okay? I heard from Dr. Morales that you had low blood pressure. Clara turned, attempting to force a crooked smile. Yeah, just a bit dizzy. Dr. Morales glanced at Tessa and cleared his throat. Tessa, could you please step out? I would like to speak to Clara privately. Tessa gave Clara a worried look, then nodded. Yes, doctor. Once they were alone, Dr. Morales leaned back against the desk, arms crossed. Clara, you know you're making everyone uncomfortable, right? Clara frowned. I don't understand. I'm the one needing an explanation here. Do you think anyone will believe you? 10 weeks pregnant and you claim you've never had sex? That sounds like a fairy tale. But I truly don't know anything, Clara blurted, her voice trembling. I've been exhausted, dizzy for weeks, couldn't sleep. I thought I was anemic or stressed. Morales scoffed. So the fetus magically appeared in your body? Clara clenched her fists. I want every piece of information related to my condition. Blood test results, ultrasound images, everything. Dr. Morales spoke deliberately. You'll get them, but I advise you to keep quiet. Don't make noise. Our department is already under a lot of pressure. What do you mean by that? Clara narrowed her eyes. I mean professional reputation, Clara. As a nurse, you know how important that is. A scandal would affect the entire hospital and your career. He paused. I suggest you think carefully before acting recklessly. Clara, stunned, asked, Are you threatening me? No, I'm giving you honest advice, Dr. Morales said as he stepped away from the desk and moved towards the door. Chief Reynolds wants to see you this afternoon. I think he'll have a more refined way of communicating than I do. The door closed, leaving Clara frozen in place. That afternoon, Clara visited Chief Alan Reynolds' office, situated on the top floor of the annex building, quiet and isolated. Come in, Reynolds' voice called from behind the door. Clara opened it, finding him standing by the window with his back to her. Hello, Dr. Reynolds. You asked to see me. He turned around, offering a faint smile. Clara, please have a seat. Clara sat down, striving to maintain her composure. Do you know why I wanted to see you? Reynolds inquired gently. I'm guessing it's about this morning, Clara replied. Reynolds nodded. Yes? News travels faster than I anticipated. Morales reported to me. Clara clenched her fists. I want to know what's going on. I want the truth. Reynolds smirked. The truth is that you're pregnant, Clara, and apparently, you're not pleased about it. I've never had sex. I don't understand how… He interrupted her. You see, sometimes science produces miracles that humans cannot explain. What are you implying? Clara sat up straighter. Nothing. I'm just suggesting that sometimes knowing too much can give you a headache. Right now, your health should be your priority. Clara stared at Reynolds. I won't stay silent. I'm going to uncover the truth. Reynolds narrowed his eyes, smirking. I'm not stopping you, but do you know where you're standing? What do you mean? This hospital, this system, Clara. None of it is simple. If you want to bring something down, you better ensure you have the power to do so. Clara exited Reynolds' office, head spinning. On her way back, she encountered Peter, a technician from California who frequently helped her fix the coffee machine. Clara, are you okay? You look as pale as a ghost. I'm okay, she replied stiffly. Peter squinted. Another night shift? Clara reluctantly nodded. Yeah. Peter hesitated. I heard you weren't feeling well in the clinic this morning. Clara turned to him. You heard too? Yeah, news travels fast here, but Clara, I know you're not someone who makes things up. If something's wrong, tell me. Don't keep it to yourself. Clara looked at him for a long moment before offering a slight nod. Thanks, Peter. That night, Clara lay in bed with her eyes wide open in the dark. The words of Morales and Reynolds echoed in her mind like warning bells. It felt as if the entire world was turning against her. Then, like a sudden flash, she remembered a night a few weeks ago when she had been on a night shift. She had a splitting headache afterward, and then nothing but emptiness. Why don't I remember anything? Clara muttered. She closed her eyes, attempting to visualize the dim fluorescent lights and the beeping of a patient monitor, then was hit with dizziness. A thump echoed in the hallway. Clara shot up, heart racing. She opened the door and looked around. No one was there. Calm down, you're panicking, she whispered to herself. She went back inside, grabbed her phone, and trembled as she typed into Google, "Pregnancy without intercourse, illegal artificial insemination." The search results flooded with numerous articles, but none matched her situation. A notification pinged. A message from Tessa. Tessa, I heard something's going on with you. If you need anything, I'm here. Don't believe everything doctors say. They're not always the good guys. Clara stared at the screen, murmuring, Thanks, Tessa, as darkness filled her thoughts. A flicker of determination ignited within her. Clara, are you still awake? Tessa's voice came through the phone, tinged with worry. Clara pressed the phone to her ear, still staring at the dark ceiling. I can't sleep. Have you ever felt like you were being controlled? Tessa was quiet for a moment. Are you talking about the baby? You don't believe me, do you? Clara's voice shook. It's not about believing or not. You're a good person, and if you swear you didn't do anything, then I believe you. Clara exhaled sharply. I remember that night now. The night I blacked out. Blacked out when? 3 weeks ago, I was on the night shift on the 5th floor in the nurse's lounge. I had a terrible headache, then nothing. I woke up the next morning with a small bruise under my arm, a bruise like a needle mark, really small. I thought it was a mosquito bite and didn't pay attention. Now that I think about it, it creeps me out. Tessa paused, then asked, Have you gotten a blood test yet? I'm planning to, but not at this hospital. I don't trust this place anymore. Smart move. Clara hung up and sat up, reaching for her backpack. She took out a small test tube, drew her own blood from a vein, and placed it in a cold storage pouch. 2 days later, Clara visited a private lab on the outskirts of Chicago. She met a woman named Beatrice, a molecular biology specialist and an old acquaintance of Tessa's. I need to verify the DNA of the fetus and compare it to mine. Can you do that? Beatrice looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. It's difficult, but not impossible. Do you have a sample of fetal tissue? Beatrice didn't ask further, just nodded silently. I'll call you once I have the results. 4 days later, Clara's phone buzzed. Clara, it's Beatrice. Are you sitting down? Clara nodded, even though she knew Beatrice couldn't see her. I ran the test 3 times. All the results were the same. The fetus doesn't carry any of your genes. Clara's throat went dry. That's impossible. Clara, the baby has no biological relation to you. You're not the genetic mother, Clara whispered in disbelief. Then what is it? Beatrice responded slowly. It's the result of in vitro fertilization. After that, it was implanted into your body. No way, Clara screamed, tears streaming down her face. Beatrice spoke gently. You need to report this to the police. Clara shook her head repeatedly. No, they won't believe me. I have nothing but my word, and the hospital can cover it all up. Beatrice hesitated. I can keep the test sample in case you need it later. But be careful, Clara. This isn't something simple. Clara sat in a small coffee shop on the corner, hands trembling around her glass of water, looking across at Peter, who had rushed over as soon as he heard she was in shock. Clara, you look like you've seen a ghost. If I told you something insane, would you believe me? Absolutely. I'm pregnant, but the baby's not mine. Peter frowned. Wait, what? It's not my baby. We don't share any DNA. It's an embryo from someone else. Someone injected it into me without my knowledge. Peter stood in shock. So that's why you said you never… Exactly! I never had sex. Not once. Jesus Christ. Clara looked at him in utter despair. I believe someone used me as a test subject. Do you have any proof? Just the lab results and the memory of the night I passed out. The injection mark. The rest is all speculation. Peter nodded slowly. Then we need evidence. Clara tilted her head. We? Yes. You're not alone, Tessa, me, and anyone who believes you will help you. You have to keep investigating. That night, Clara sneaked into the hospital's tech room during the quiet night shift, using the access card Peter had secretly given her. She logged into the internal storage system, the screen displaying a series of folders with restricted access. She glanced around, heart pounding, then entered the code Peter had provided. The system opened, revealing numerous files and documents filled with complex technical jargon. Yet Clara, a skilled nurse, understood enough to feel the horror behind the words. Embryo testing on female subjects without reproductive conditions or stable social ties. All information is strictly confidential, not for public release. Embryo implantation must be conducted while the patient is unconscious using mild sedatives. No visible marks must be left on the skin. Chills ran down Clara's spine as she continued reading. Potential subject, Clara Martin, nurse, 28 years old. No pregnancy history, no family ties, lives alone. Her name right there in the system. Her hands trembled. An attached file popped up, a digital signature from Alan Reynolds, the department chief. Oh God, Clara whispered. She quickly copied the entire folder onto a portable hard drive Peter had prepared. Just before ejecting it, she saw a chart. 7 cases completed, no complaints. Clara shuddered. She wasn't the first. The next morning, Clara met Tessa at their usual diner. Tessa, I have the evidence. Tessa put down her coffee, surprised. What did you find? Clara opened the hard drive and handed it over. It's all here. The project's name is Jen. I was an experimental subject. Reynolds is behind it. Tessa trembled as she took the drive. This is a crime. They used your body as a vessel. Not just me. The system listed at least 6 other women. All their records were deleted or labeled psychotic. They've erased everything. Tessa clenched her fists. What are you going to do? Expose Reynolds, no matter the cost. Tessa nodded, her eyes misty. I'm with you. You're not alone. That evening, Clara locked her apartment door tightly, sitting at her table, staring at the stack of documents. The hard drive, the DNA reports, the evidence she gathered. Part of her wanted to scream, to smash everything, but the stronger part began calculating her next move. Her phone buzzed, a message from an unknown number. Clara, if you continue, you will no longer be safe. This is your first warning. She stared at the screen, her laugh cold. Too late. I've begun and I won't stop. Clara, you need to listen to me. You're stepping into dangerous territory. Tessa spoke quickly, her voice shaking. As they sat in the locked nurse's break room, Clara looked her in the eye. You think I can just walk away? They used my body like an incubator without my knowledge. I know, Clara, I'm furious, but they're an entire system. Do you think Reynolds acted alone? Clara pulled the hard drive from her pocket. This has everything. Full descriptions of the Gen project methods, subject lists, trial reports. Reynolds' name is everywhere. God, Tessa whispered through gritted teeth. Are you going to the police? Not yet. If I go now, they'll destroy all the evidence. I need something more irrefutable. I'll help, but be careful. They may already know you have the data. Clara nodded, her gaze resolute. I've backed it up onto 3 other drives. One I sent to an old friend in IT, one to a lawyer my parents trusted, and one I haven't decided yet. Tessa leaned back, thoughtful. Gen Project? Sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie. Only this time, it's real, and we're the victims. That night, Clara sat alone again in her small apartment. She plugged the hard drive into her laptop, opening each file one by one. She needed to comprehend the game in which she'd been forced to play as a pawn. One file caught her attention. Subject classification, evaluation of control susceptibility. Clara Reed, the selection criteria stated, single women living alone, no close relatives, stable psychological profile, not prone to rebellion, holds a position in the healthcare system, easy access. Subject number 17, Clara Martin, grade A+ match. She clenched her fists, lips trembling. Bastards! The reports on fetal development progress post-implantation contained a code tied to her name. A video file was attached. Clara opened it. A black and white surveillance clip in the nurse's lounge showed her lying on the couch, while a man in a white lab coat entered with a mask covering his face and injected something into her arm. The lighting was dim, but his gestures seemed familiar. Clara leaned in closer, feeling sickness rise within her, unable to believe her eyes. The man in the video wore a watch identical to Peter's. "Peter," she gasped. Just then, her phone buzzed. It was a text from Tessa. "Do you know if Peter wears his watch on his right hand?" Tessa, "Yes, I always thought he was left-handed." Clara sat still, shocked. "No way, Peter helped me. It can't be." But the voice in my head echoed, "You think Reynolds acted alone?" The next morning, Clara arrived at the hospital looking as composed as possible. When she entered the med prep room, she found Peter fiddling with the label printer. "Morning, Peter," she greeted, keeping her tone light. "Feeling better today?" he asked, smiling. "I'm fine. You working the night shift?" "Yeah, it was dead last night. Super boring." Clara stared directly at him. "Were you ever in the nurse's lounge on the night of the 14th last month?" Peter paused. "The 14th? Not sure. Why?" "There's a camera recording. A man in a white lab coat, masked, injected something into my arm." Clara spoke slowly. "He wore a watch on his right wrist, just like you." Peter blinked. "Clara, do you think it was me?" "No. I just need to know." Peter stayed silent for a few seconds, then offered a faint smile. "I wasn't that guy, but if you think I was, maybe there's nothing more to say." Clara looked down, hiding the chaos in her mind. That afternoon, Clara returned to the hospital's IT office, searching for deeper access to the system. She approached Alexander, a small-framed, quiet IT guy from California, who often helped her with printouts. "Alexander, do you have a minute?" He looked up. "What's going on, Clara?" "I need help retrieving recently deleted files from the internal server, specifically from a folder called Gen Project." He raised an eyebrow. "So, you're involved in that now?" Clara froze. "You know about it?" Alexander nodded slightly. "I only know the project name. We were ordered to mass delete any related files, but something smelled off. Did you keep a backup?" He hesitated, then turned his screen toward her. "I made a ghost copy. Not complete, but there's enough left to freak someone out." Clara gritted her teeth. "Give me everything." Alexander handed her a small USB. "Clara, if you're going all in on this, be careful. The people tied to the project, none of them work here anymore. Fired. One vanished, one jumped off a roof, 2 were transferred, and 4 had mental disorders. Does that seem like a coincidence to you?" Clara swallowed hard, a chill creeping down her spine. That night, Clara met Tessa again at a park near her home. "Tessa, I think Peter might be involved." Tessa was stunned. "No way! Peter genuinely cares about you. I saw the video. The man's watch matches his, and in the injection log, there's an initial, PV." Tessa pondered. "I know Peter used to work in biomedical research before he came here." "Exactly. He has the skills and had easy access to me. Are you going to confront him?" Clara shook her head. "No. I'll let him think I don't know. What's your next step?" Clara took a deep breath. "Find undeniable proof. I need clear footage and someone outside the system. Someone willing to go public." Tessa frowned. "I know someone, Daniel Reeves. He's an investigative journalist who specializes in exposing medical scandals. He almost revealed an illegal patient chip implantation case, but it got shut down. He's being watched but still operates underground." Clara nodded. "I want to meet him." Tessa scrolled through her phone and handed Clara a contact. But be careful. Daniel's cautious. You'll need something that makes him believe you. I'll give him everything. The videos, the data, the test results, and the words of a survivor. Tessa squeezed Clara's hand. You're brave, but don't let this destroy you. It's not worth it. Clara smiled faintly. If I don't fight, there will be dozens more turned into human incubators. Back home, Clara opened her laptop. Her reflection flickered in the glass, pale and exhausted, but her eyes burned with determination. She opened Word and began typing her investigation journal. The first line read, My name is Clara Martin. I'm pregnant, but the child inside me is not mine. I am a victim of an inhumane experiment called Project Gen. The door to Chief Alan Reynolds' office closed quietly behind Clara. The faint scent of citrus essential oils mixed with the chill of the air conditioning made her shiver. Clara Martin, I heard you were looking for me. I need to talk, Clara stated calmly, her hands gripping the sides of her white coat tightly. Of course, Reynolds replied, gesturing toward the chair opposite him. Please have a seat. I prefer to stand, Clara replied, her eyes locked onto his. Reynolds raised an eyebrow but said nothing further. So, what is it you want to discuss? Clara placed a USB drive on the desk. I've read the entire file on Project Gen. Reynolds fell silent for a few seconds, then rested his elbows on the desk, fingers interlaced. And I want to hear it from your mouth. Is it true women are being injected with embryos without their consent? Clara sighed, like a patient parent addressing a stubborn child. Do you really think you understand what's happening? I don't need to understand everything, I just need to know who gave the order. I did, Reynolds admitted bluntly. Clara froze. You admit it? Why not? Reynolds continued, walking around the desk and moving toward the door, locking it. The sound of the lock clicking sent a chill down Clara's spine. You see, Clara, I don't view this as a crime. I consider it a step forward for humanity. Forcibly implanting artificial embryos into human bodies without consent is a crime, Clara exclaimed. The history of science has always started with painful experimentation. If we can't dare to break the boundaries of outdated ethics, humanity will never progress, Reynolds scoffed. By using women as lab rats? Don't you see how monstrous that is? Reynolds maintained his composure. You should feel honored, Clara. You are the first to carry a child conceived without a real woman. No egg, no traditional fertilization, and no consent. Clara's voice rose to nearly a scream. You were the perfect candidate. Single, no family, no one to ask questions. You should thank me for choosing you. You're insane, Clara whispered, stepping back. Reynolds remained calm. You can't win, Clara. I control the entire system. The cameras, the medical records, the shift logs, access logs. Everything can be edited. I possess the data, the surveillance footage, your signature on the documents, and those things will never see the light of day. Reynolds stepped closer, scrutinizing her like a specimen. You think a few hard drives and some friendly contacts inside the hospital will help you? This isn't a Hollywood movie. How many women have you done this to? Clara asked defiantly. 7. You're the 8th, but the first who got too curious. What happened to them? Where are they? Some were convinced they were crazy, some disappeared, and a few took their own lives. You see, Clara, what matters isn't the truth. It's who controls the truth. You won't get away with this, Clara said through clenched teeth, her eyes burning with tears. Really? Reynolds questioned, tilting his head. Who will believe a nurse claiming she's pregnant without ever having sex? I have proof. Proof can be lost, just like your dear friend Martha. Clara stumbled back against the desk. What did you do to Martha? Reynolds smiled. I didn't need to do anything, others did. When someone digs too deep, they end up burying themselves, and we just give them a little push. You bastard, Clara hissed as tears streamed down her cheeks. Reynolds quietly approached the door and unlocked it. Go home, rest, eat well. You're pregnant, remember? And don't do anything foolish. I'd hate for you to become the next accident. Clara walked out on trembling legs. Tessa was waiting in the hallway and rushed over when she saw Clara's pale face. Clara, are you okay? He admitted everything? Clara gasped. He said Martha might have been silenced. Tessa was stunned. Oh my God. He doesn't see women as human beings. He sees us as biological machines. As long as the embryo survives, he doesn't care about feelings or consent. Tessa grabbed Clara's hand, quickly pulling her aside. Let's get out of here now. No one is safe in that hospital anymore. That night, Clara and Tessa sat in Clara's small apartment, the curtains drawn tightly. Clara turned on a recorder, her breath steady as Reynolds' voice echoed from a hidden microphone, activated in her coat pocket. You should feel honored. You're the first to carry a child conceived without a real woman. Tessa sat frozen. That's clearly his voice. I need more. I need a face, an image, irrefutable criminal evidence. Tessa noted, I know someone who might help. Michael Ryan, a former security guard. He used to manage the camera system but got fired after a so-called storage error. I think he knows what was hidden. Is he still in Chicago? Clara asked, eager. I heard he works night security at a parking lot near Union Station. I have his number. I need to meet him. Tessa quietly handed Clara the phone number. Clara, from now on, you need to be extremely careful. Don't go anywhere alone. Don't trust anyone too easily, not even Peter. Clara nodded, her eyes resolute. I don't trust anyone anymore, except you. The next day, Clara waited at the parking lot until a short, heavy-set man with a beard arrived. Mr. Ryan? Clara called out. He frowned. Who are you? My name is Clara. I'm a nurse. I know you used to work at Westlake Memorial Hospital. He nodded cautiously. What do you want? I need you to tell me the truth. Did hospital cameras ever capture people injecting drugs into staff without consent? Michael remained silent. You don't need to be afraid. I have evidence. I'm a victim. I'm pregnant, but the fetus doesn't share my DNA. Michael glanced around, lowering his voice. Yes, but those clips were erased. One day I was called into HR and they fired me. Did you keep anything? A hard drive? A backup? Michael pulled a small USB drive from his coat pocket. I didn't dare look, but I didn't delete it either. There might be something left. If you're brave enough, take it. Clara took it quickly. Thank you. I won't forget this. Michael spoke urgently. You're being watched by two people. One is a security guard named Steven, Reynolds' lackey. The other is Peter. Clara froze. Michael walked away, leaving one last sentence. You're touching something no one dares to touch. That night, Clara sat in her dim living room, the laptop illuminating her weary face as she scanned Michael's USB. She rested her hand on her stomach, a lump forming in her throat. Inside her was a life, not hers, not conceived naturally, yet growing every day. A soft ding sounded. The screen displayed a folder numbered 1703. She opened it to reveal faint footage, a night vision recording of the fifth-floor hallway. A figure silently pushed a hospital gurney down the hall while wearing a white coat and a face mask. The footage glitched, segments scrambled or lost. Clara frowned and rewound, zooming in on the figure's hand pushing the gurney. A watch was visible on the right wrist. That watch again, Clara muttered. Just then, her phone rang. It was Tessa. It's me, Clara. Tessa's voice brimmed with urgency. I can't get in touch with Martha. Clara's heart skipped a beat. Martha? I thought she was in Berkeley for an advanced class. That's what I thought. But someone called me. She never showed. Her phone is off. I went to her apartment. Clara held her breath. And? The door wasn't locked. Inside, everything was ransacked. Oh my God. No signs of robbery? Just her laptop is gone, but her wallet and personal items are untouched. It's clear someone was only after information. Clara collapsed onto the couch. No, is she really missing? Clara's voice trembled as she asked, I don't want to panic, but you know Martha was going to help you contact the health department. Did you talk to her recently? Yes, I shared everything about Project Jen and what I'm doing. That makes it clear. Martha was silenced, Clara stated, gripping her phone tightly. I have to call the police. Be careful, Clara. If you report it, they'll come after you. They'll say you made it all up. Clara bit her lip, swallowing her fear. I can't lose anyone else. Tessa paused, then slowly said, I have the feeling we're being watched. Clara glanced around the room, heart racing. Do you think someone's listening in? Possibly. They have access to the network systems. Check your laptop. The next morning, Clara brought her laptop to Alexander in the tech office. Can you check if my computer has spyware installed? Alexander looked surprised. Is this serious? I think someone planted something to steal my data. He opened the laptop and typed a few commands. Less than 3 minutes later, he frowned. There's a hidden script sending copies of your files to suspicious IP addresses. A virus? No, it's high-level spyware. The encryption matches the software used internally, meaning someone on the inside put it there. Clara stood frozen. Who could have done this? Alexander looked at her solemnly. Someone who's touched your machine or has remote access. Clara thought of Peter. He borrowed my laptop a few times to print things from my room. I never suspected a thing. Can you remove it? Yeah, but it'll take at least 3 hours. Clara nodded, determined. Do it. Remove everything and install anti-surveillance software for me. Alexander hesitated. Clara, who are you fighting? Something more disgusting than disease. People who've lost their humanity. That afternoon, Clara visited Martha's apartment. The door was sealed with police tape, but she could still see the mess through the crack, clear signs of a hurried search. The building's elderly security guard, Mr. Henry, often joked with Clara during visits. Mr. Henry? Clara called out. Clara, is it true your friend went missing? Yes. Did you see anything? He pondered. There was a gray van parked outside the night before last with 2 men in electrical maintenance uniforms. Did they use a key or a card to enter? A card, definitely staff. But the strange thing is after that night, the hallway camera data was gone, like someone deleted it. Clara nodded, clenching her fists. Thank you. If you notice anything strange, please let me know. Be careful, girl. These people don't mess around. Back home, Clara discovered her mailbox had been pried open. Inside was only a blank piece of paper, but when she held it under the light, a faint message appeared. If you want to live peacefully, keep your mouth shut. She clenched the paper, her heart pounding. I called Tessa immediately. Someone got into my apartment. The mailbox was broken, an anonymous note. They want to scare me. Stay strong, Clara. We're close now. I'm afraid I'll lose everything, like Martha. Tessa paused, then sighed. If you want to stop, I understand. But if you keep going, you won't be alone. Clara wiped her tears. No, I'll keep going, no matter the cost. That night, Clara went to the hospital one last time before officially taking a leave of absence. She met Dr. Morales in the administrative office. Clara, why are you here again? You already submitted your leave request? I came to pick up some personal documents and to say goodbye. Morales regarded her with a strange expression. You've changed. You used to smile a lot. Smiles are for people who get to live, she replied. He nodded slowly. You think you can take this system down? I don't think. I know I can. Morales raised an eyebrow. You're confident? No, I have evidence, and I'm going to bring it to light. Morales smirked. Good luck, but don't be surprised if one day you have an accident. That threat should remain unspoken, Doctor, Clara retorted, before turning and leaving. Back home, she began sorting all the evidence into separate parts. DNA files, server data, Reynolds audio recording, old camera footage, and the anonymous threat note. Each was backed up onto a separate USB, carefully wrapped and labeled with unique codes. She stuck a label on each. If I go missing, make all of this public. Late at night, Clara sat on her balcony, gazing at the city lights. Inside her, the baby kicked for the first time. She placed her hand on her stomach, overwhelmed. You're not mine, not in the usual sense, but you're alive inside me, and I will protect you, no matter what it takes. She went back inside, checked the locks, turned off her phone, and wrote on the wall with a marker. If I disappear, it wasn't an accident. The HR clerk asked, You're officially requesting leave? Yes, Clara replied firmly. 3 weeks from now, for health reasons. Once she signed the form, she exited the hallway where Tessa was already waiting. Done? Tessa asked. Done. They didn't ask much, but I know they're watching every step. My brother works in an independent tech unit. I've sent him the drive. He promised to decode the encrypted data from the Gen project backup you recovered." Clara nodded, feeling slightly more at ease. "The more people who know, the better our chances of surviving." Tessa grinned. "Sounds like a war movie." Clara looked her dead in the eye. "Isn't it?" 3 days later, Clara received a letter from the hospital. A 2-page document entitled "Request for Voluntary Resignation Due to Organizational Image." Clara read it repeatedly, her forehead veins bulging. She immediately called Tessa. "They want to force me to resign permanently." Tessa sighed. "The reason? Damaging the hospital's reputation through inappropriate behavior and statements in a professional environment. They're blatantly defaming me. What are you going to do? I won't sign anything. If they want to fire me, they need a clear reason and I'll record everything." Tessa paused again, saying, "I just got the decoded files from my brother." Clara sat upright. "Anything new?" "Yes. Gen Project has 3 phases: selection, implantation, and monitoring. In the selection phase, they use software to extract personal data from female staff, shift schedules, break times, psychological profiles to choose the most manipulable targets." Clara trembled. "So it wasn't just medical, it was surveillance?" "Exactly. You were being monitored even before they injected you. I feel like a hunted product." Tessa quickly asserted, "There's another name on the list, Natalie Lewis. She was a nurse too." Her resignation cited nervous breakdown. Her medical records labeled her paranoid. "That's how they erase traces." Clara took a deep breath. "Social death instead of murder." The next afternoon, when Clara arrived home, she found her lock slightly tampered with. Inside, her apartment was ransacked. She instinctively stepped back, taking pictures of everything. Only one photo was missing from the wall, a picture of her and Martha at graduation. The wooden frame lay shattered on the floor. She turned to the desk corner, where the metal box with her backup USBs had been, gone. "They're stripping us clean," she quickly called Alexander. "Alexander, I was broken into. Can you help check who accessed my laptop remotely?" "Yes, but I need to come in person. They may have installed new spyware." "I'll send you the address in 10 minutes, she said, before hanging up. Inside was only a blank piece of paper, but when she held it under the light, a faint message appeared. "If you want to live peacefully, keep your mouth shut." She clenched the paper, her heart pounding. I called Tessa immediately. "Someone got into my apartment. The mailbox was broken, an anonymous note. They want to scare me. Stay strong, Clara. We're close now. I'm afraid I'll lose everything, like Martha." Tessa paused, then sighed. "If you want to stop, I understand. But if you keep going, you won't be alone." Clara wiped her tears. "No, I'll keep going, no matter the cost." That night, Clara went to the hospital one last time before officially taking a leave of absence. She met Dr. Morales in the administrative office. "Clara, why are you here again? You already submitted your leave request?" "I came to pick up some personal documents and to say goodbye." Morales regarded her with a strange expression. "You've changed. You used to smile a lot." "Smiles are for people who get to live," she replied. He nodded slowly. "You think you can take this system down?" "I don't think. I know I can." Morales raised an eyebrow. "You're confident?" "No, I have evidence, and I'm going to bring it to light." Morales smirked. "Good luck. But don't be surprised if one day you have an accident." "That threat should remain unspoken, Doctor," Clara retorted, before turning and leaving. Back home, she began sorting all the evidence into separate parts. DNA files, server data, Reynolds' audio recording, old camera footage, and the anonymous threat note. Each was backed up onto a separate USB, carefully wrapped and labeled with unique codes. She stuck a label on each. "If I go missing, make all of this public." Late at night, Clara sat on her balcony, gazing at the city lights. Inside her, the baby kicked for the first time. She placed her hand on her stomach, overwhelmed. "You're not mine. Not in the usual sense, but You're alive inside me, and I will protect you, no matter what it takes. She went back inside, checked the locks, turned off her phone, and wrote on the wall with a marker. If I disappear, it wasn't an accident. The HR clerk asked, "You're officially requesting leave?" "Yes," Clara replied firmly. 3 weeks from now, for health reasons. Once she signed the form, she exited the hallway where Tessa was already waiting. "Done?" Tessa asked. "Done. They didn't ask much, but I know they're watching every step. My brother works in an independent tech unit. I've sent him the drive. He promised to decode the encrypted data from the Gen project backup you recovered." Clara nodded, feeling slightly more at ease. "The more people who know, the better our chances of surviving." Tessa grinned. "Sounds like a war movie." Clara looked her dead in the eye. "Isn't it?" 3 days later, Clara received a letter from the hospital. A 2-page document entitled "Request for Voluntary Resignation Due to Organizational Image." Clara read it repeatedly, her forehead veins bulging. She immediately called Tessa. "They want to force me to resign, permanently." Tessa sighed. "The reason? Damaging the hospital's reputation through inappropriate behavior and statements in a professional environment. They're blatantly defaming me. What are you going to do? I won't sign anything. If they want to fire me, they need a clear reason and I'll record everything." Tessa paused again, saying, "I just got the decoded files from my brother." Clara sat upright. "Anything new?" "Yes. Gen Project has 3 phases: selection, implantation, and monitoring. In the selection phase, they use software to extract personal data from female staff, shift schedules, break times, psychological profiles to choose the most manipulable targets." Clara trembled. "So it wasn't just medical, it was surveillance?" "Exactly. You were being monitored even before they injected you. I feel like a hunted product." Tessa quickly asserted, "There's another name on the list, Natalie Lewis. She was a nurse, too. Her resignation cited nervous breakdown. Her medical records labeled her paranoid." "That's how they erase traces." Clara took a deep breath. "Social death instead of murder." The next afternoon, when Clara arrived home, she found her lock slightly tampered with. Inside, her apartment was ransacked. She instinctively stepped back, taking pictures of everything. Only one photo was missing from the wall, a picture of her and Martha at graduation. The wooden frame lay shattered on the floor. She turned to the desk corner, where the metal box with her backup USBs had been, gone. "They're stripping us clean," she quickly called Alexander. "Alexander, I was broken into. Can you help check who accessed my laptop remotely?" "Yes, but I need to come in person. They may have installed new spyware." "I'll send you the address in 10 minutes, she said, before hanging up. She dialed Tessa. "Do you still have the USB?" "I put it in my mom's house. It's safe. They just took mine. They know I've gone too far." Tessa whispered, "I think someone inside is leaking info." "Who do you think?" "Peter." Clara was silent for a few seconds. "I want to believe in him, but what if the one you trust is the one stabbing you in the back?" "I need to find out." That afternoon, Alexander arrived at Clara's house with his laptop. "I brought signal scanners. Turn off all networks." Clara followed his instructions. After a few minutes of scanning, he frowned. "There's a strange device emitting a faint Bluetooth signal behind the fridge." They pulled the fridge out. A small black device fell to the floor. "A listening bug." Clara went cold. "They were listening to me while I cooked." "Not just that," Alexander handed her a printed report. "There was an IP address accessing your data from a hospital machine named P. Berkeley." "Peter Berkeley?" Clara gripped the table. "I can't say for sure, but that computer name is a huge coincidence." Clara thought hard. "That's enough. I need to confront him." The next morning, Clara arranged to meet Peter at a small cafe near the park. Peter arrived on time, flashing his familiar smile. "Clara, long time no see. You doing okay?" "More or less," Clara nodded. "You still working night shifts at the hospital?" "Yeah, as exhausting as always. What's up?" Clara looked him in the eye. "Have you ever accessed my data?" Peter froze. What data? Personal info, shift logs, schedule, my computer. Clara, what are you talking about? I'll ask again. Did you do it? Peter stared at her for a moment, then sighed. You've changed. Are you suspicious of everyone now? No, only those who have a reason. And what reason would I have? Your computer's name is P. Berkeley, and that IP accessed my personal data. There's a listening device in my house. I want to believe you're not involved. Peter stood his ground, his tone sharpened. You're imagining too much, but you should be careful. Not everyone stays patient forever. Clara glared at him. I'll bring the truth to light no matter who you are. That afternoon, Clara walked home, turning into the alley near her building. A black car had been parked there for 3 days straight. She stopped, pretended to tie her shoelace, and glanced at it from the corner of her eye. Tinted windows, a lack of visibility inside. The license plate was unclear. She kept walking, moments later entering her apartment building. She looked back. The car hadn't moved, but the headlights flashed once. Clara pulled out her phone, took a photo, and sent it to Alexander. Clara, can you check this car for me? Plate 3625LRZ? Thanks, Alexander replied a few minutes later. It's not registered to an individual. It belongs to a civilian security unit. Could be a front. Clara's chest tightened. That night, sleep evaded her. She opened the closet and pulled out the final copies of her documents, the ones she decrypted. She split them into 4 parts, sealing them in envelopes and writing, "If I disappear, give this to Daniel Reeves." The next morning, Clara sent each envelope to a different address. Tessa's house, Alexander, her father's lawyer, and the printed email address of Daniel. As she stepped out of the post office, she felt someone following her. She walked faster, then stopped suddenly, turning around. A man in a gray coat and dark glasses turned away immediately. Clara took a quick photo and sent it to Tessa. Clara, have you seen this guy before? Tessa texted back. Yes, he was near the parking lot the day I met Gabriel. Clara gripped her phone tightly. That night, Clara returned home. As soon as she stepped inside, her phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. Next time, it won't just be a warning. Watch your step on the stairs. She froze, horror gripping her heart. Someone knew her every move. Clara immediately called Alexander. Can you install advanced encryption software on my phone and set up alerts for unusual access attempts? I'll come over tonight, he replied. That afternoon, Clara went to the cafe, tucked in the small alley where Daniel had agreed to meet her. After thoroughly verifying her identity, a man in his 40s with slightly unkempt hair, sharp eyes, and a tired expression looked at her from the back table. Clara Martin, he said softly. Daniel Reeves, she replied, taking a seat. He looked around. I only have 15 minutes. Did you bring what I need? Clara placed a thick envelope on the table. Everything's in there. Decrypted data, DNA analysis, surveillance video, a list of victims with erased records. Daniel opened it, skimming through quickly, eyes widening. Do you know what you're holding? Evidence of a medical crime on a national scale. He nodded. I'll verify every part, but if it's all legit, this will be the biggest expose I've ever written. Clara lowered her voice. I don't care about fame, I just want justice. Daniel met her gaze, his expression softening. I get it, but justice often comes with danger. Are you ready for that? I am, he nodded. I'll contact you once the article is finished. Until then, don't trust anyone. Don't stay in one place too long, and if I call but say nothing, that means you must leave Chicago immediately. Clara nodded. Thank you. Daniel packed up and vanished like a shadow. That night, Clara lay in bed, clutching a pillow tightly as the baby inside her kicked gently, a sign of life. I don't know who you are, but you are proof. I won't let anyone treat you like an object. Car horns blared down on the street as Clara got up, locking every door and turning off the lights. Tomorrow could be the day everything ends or begins. At 6 a.m., her phone buzzed. Clara grabbed it, her voice steady. Hello? Clara, it's me, Daniel. His voice was deep and urgent. We've got everything. The evidence is verified. Clara jumped out of bed. You mean all of it? The DNA test, the audio recording, the decrypted data, and most importantly, the clip Michael Ryan provided. Reynolds' face is clearly visible during the embryo implantation shift. Clara gripped the phone tightly. What are you going to do? I finished the investigative report. It'll be on the front page of the Chicago Tribune at 9 a.m. today. Her voice trembled. Do they know? I'm sure they do, Daniel replied. 2 men followed me this morning when I left my house, but I've sent the full data to 5 other news outlets. If something happens to me, the story still gets published. Thank you, Clara whispered. No, I should be the one thanking you. You didn't give up even when you should have faltered long ago. At 9 a.m., Chicago erupted. The front page of the Chicago Tribune blared, Project Jen, the cruelty behind the white coat. Below it was a photo of Reynolds at a medical conference alongside excerpts from the decrypted data Clara had provided. Clara sat in a small cafe with Tessa and Alexander. Her phone rang nonstop. Clara, what are you doing? You're all over the TV, her mother exclaimed. Mom, I'm okay. I'll explain everything later, but for now, don't trust the tabloids. Alexander held up his phone. Look, national television just aired a special bulletin. The news anchor's voice boomed. The California Department of Health has launched an emergency investigation and ordered the suspension of all operations at Westlake Memorial Hospital. Chief of Medicine Alan Reynolds is under investigation for severe violations of medical ethics. Tessa stared in shock. That fast? Clara nodded. They're afraid of public outrage. They have to respond immediately. A message from Daniel popped through. Reynolds just called me. He knows he can't deny it, but he still thinks he can negotiate. I'm recording him. Clara quickly responded, Don't negotiate. He has to face everything. At 2 p.m., Reynolds was arrested at his home. Footage of him being handcuffed, head bowed low, streamed on every channel. Clara stood before the screen, hand covering her mouth. Tessa whispered, I never thought I'd live to see this day. Her phone buzzed again. It was Beatrice. Clara, did you see they actually arrested him? Do you believe this is really happening? Clara asked, her voice trembling. I do. You made it happen. You are the voice for all the women who were once silenced. Alexander chimed in. Police are checking the hospital servers. They found evidence of tampered records. Peter might be summoned too. Clara froze. Peter, they traced the IP access to your file. They have enough evidence. He can't deny it anymore. Tessa nodded. He betrayed you for money, but now he'll pay. At 6 p.m., Daniel sent Clara the recording of his call with Reynolds. She played it back, listening carefully to every word. Daniel, you know you can't escape this, Reynolds proclaimed. You think I'll stay silent? I have a list of everyone involved. If I go down, they go with me. Thank you. That was just recorded. Now prepare for court. Clara smiled, the first genuine smile in months. That evening, Daniel met Clara at Greenwood Park. The media is calling you California's bravest woman, he said, taking a seat on the bench. I don't feel brave, she confessed. I just feel tired. You can rest now. We'll handle the rest. Clara looked at him. But what about the others? The silenced victims? The altered records? The Department of Health has announced a broad investigation. A new oversight committee will be formed, and you've been nominated as an ethics advisor. Clara's eyes widened. Me? Yes. They need someone who truly understands the pain the victims endured. Clara bowed her head. I'm not ready. No one ever is at first, but you're the right person. She remained silent as the night wind passed by. Cool and gentle, the baby inside her stirred again. Placing her hand on her belly, she whispered, Maybe this is why I didn't fall apart. Daniel followed her gaze, his expression softening. Your child will grow up in a more just world. Because of you, Clara smiled. The next day at noon, the court released the list of indicted individuals. Aside from Reynolds, 3 other hospital executives, 2 doctors, and Peter were charged with crimes ranging from conspiracy to illegal data access. The media swarmed the police station. A reporter shouted, "Clara Martin, do you have anything to say to those who once doubted you?" Clara stood amid a sea of cameras, microphones, and flashing lights. Calmly, she replied, "I don't blame them. When a system is designed to silence you, the truth always sounds insane." Applause erupted. Tessa stood nearby, eyes misty. "You really are my Clara," she whispered. That evening, Clara returned home, opened her laptop, and typed the final entry in her investigation journal. "Today I stepped into the light, but the fight isn't over. Justice doesn't arrive on its own. It requires someone to emerge from the shadows, even if on trembling legs." She clicked save, and in the stillness of her room she cried for the first time. They were tears of relief. "Clara Martin, please proceed to the courtroom." The guard's firm voice reverberated in her ears. Clara took a deep breath and walked through the heavy wooden doors, hundreds of eyes following her, cameras flashing. Tessa walked beside her, holding her hand tightly, while Daniel waited in the front row, his eyes filled with trust. Inside, Alan Reynolds sat at the defendant's table, hands clasped, eyes cold as stone, and his face no longer exuded calm control. Beside him sat his tense attorney. The judge spoke. "This criminal court is now in session, trying defendant Alan Reynolds and co-conspirators on the following charges: gross violation of medical ethics, unauthorized embryo implantation, falsification of medical records, and abuse of authority." The gavel struck. When it was time for witness testimony, Clara stepped up to the stand. Tall, her eyes fixed on the judge, she began to speak. "About 3 months ago, I was diagnosed as pregnant, but I knew with certainty I had never had sexual intercourse. I ran a private DNA test and discovered the fetus did not share my genes. That's biologically impossible without unauthorized medical intervention." "Do you have evidence to support this statement?" the judge asked. "Yes. Test results from an independent lab, internal hospital data, recorded conversations with Mr. Alan Reynolds, and surveillance footage provided by Mr. Michael Ryan." Clara turned her gaze squarely towards Reynolds. "He told me I should feel honored to be the first of a new era. But to me, I was just a victim turned into a vessel." The courtroom fell silent. The judge nodded. "Thank you, Miss Clara. Would you like to add anything?" "Yes. I want to say this. A woman's body is not a laboratory. No one has the right to claim life inside her without her consent. Science only holds value when rooted in ethics." Applause broke out in the gallery. The judge banged the gavel to restore order. Reynolds' lawyer argued, "My client is a researcher, not a criminal. He acted in the name of science." The prosecutor countered, "Advancing science by injecting artificial embryos into women without their consent is not discovery. It's a crime." Suddenly, Reynolds stood. "She volunteered. Clara knew everything from the start. She's faking this victim act." The judge struck the gavel again. "Defendant, order." Clara calmly stood, countering, "I have journals, emails, and medical records proving I knew nothing. What he's saying reflects the desperation of a man who's lost everything." The trial lasted 3 days, with the press capturing every moment. Dozens of women began to speak up, former patients from facilities tied to Reynolds who had experienced symptoms similar to Clara's. A nationwide medical investigation was launched. Finally, on the last morning, the judge read the verdict. Based on all documents, testimonies, verified forensic evidence, and the conclusions of the National Ethics Board, the court sentences Alan Reynolds to 26 years in prison, permanent revocation of medical licenses, and a lifetime ban from all medical activity. The co-conspirators, including residents, the IT head, and related security staff, will serve between 10 to 18 years. Peter Berkeley, 12 years in prison for conspiracy, invasion of privacy, unauthorized data access, and complicity in illegal medical procedures. The courtroom sighed in collective relief. Tessa hugged Clara tightly. "You did it," she whispered. Clara closed her eyes, unable to speak. Outside, the press swarmed them. "Clara, everyone's waiting to hear from you, but I can speak on your behalf." Clara shook her head. "No, I want to speak." Stepping up to the podium, she addressed the cameras. "I'm not a hero. I'm just someone who was pushed to the edge and chose not to stay silent. But I believe that if one person stands up, 10 more will stand with them. A female reporter asked, "Are you keeping the baby?" Clara nodded. "Yes. Even if we don't share DNA, that child is the life I fought to protect. They are hope." The reporter choked up. "Thank you." 1 week later, Clara received an invitation to the Department of Health headquarters. The National Director of Medical Ethics shook her hand. "Miss Clara, we would like to invite you to join the advisory board on bioethics." Clara was surprised. "I'm just a nurse?" "But you're someone who spoke the truth when no one believed you. That's what modern medicine needs." Clara thought for a moment and then nodded. "I'll accept, but I will always speak the truth, even if no one wants to hear it. That's exactly why we chose you." 1 month later, Clara cradled her newborn baby in her arms, sunlight flooding her small apartment. Tessa sat beside her with a warm cup of tea. "She really looks like you," Tessa whispered. "Not by genes, but by spirit," Clara replied, watching the baby girl sleep peacefully. Daniel entered, holding the latest medical journal. "You're on the cover," he grinned. "Really?" "Not because of the case, because of the speech you gave at the European Medical Ethics Summit. The entire room gave you a standing ovation." Clara smiled softly. "I only told the truth." Daniel remarked, "Truth is the bravest thing one human can give another." That afternoon, Clara strolled through Greenwood Park with her baby. Passers-by recognized her, smiled, and nodded. Some said, "You're so brave, Clara," while others placed a hand over their hearts, silently conveying their gratitude. A little girl approached, offering Clara a rose. "You're a good person." Clara knelt down and accepted it. "Thank you, sweetheart." Looking at her baby in the stroller, she smiled. "We survived, and now we're going to truly live." The breeze carried a faint scent of orange blossoms, but this time, it wasn't from Reynolds' office. It was the scent of freedom. Clara held her child's hand and walked down the sunlit path, surrounded by applause. Clara's story serves as a powerful reminder that justice doesn't come from silence, but from courageous action against injustice. Even when faced with threats and isolation, holding on to truth and refusing to yield can lead to incredible change. Clara didn't just protect herself. She opened the door of hope for thousands of other women. The lesson is that truth can be buried, but it can never be destroyed. Not when a single person dares to step out of the shadows. If you enjoyed this story, we invite you to give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Your support encourages us to continue sharing heartwarming stories almost every day. We are sincerely grateful for your support. See you soon.